How do I have 8 cars at 18 years old? It's pretty simple. Quick side note here, this Tesla is not one of my 8 cars. I wish though. I don't think there's any better way to represent Canada in the winter than this. My car became a snowball. I mean, just look at this. I can't even get in the car. I would really like to get this car out of the snow, but I don't even know where to start. Look at the amount of snow. So what's the secret? How do I have 8 cars at only 18 years old? Well, bear with me. When I turned 16 years old, I got my driver's license and I really started looking for my own car. And I started falling into these YouTube videos and about cars and modified cars, and I started watching people like the Straight Pipes or the Stradman showing off really cool cars, and I fell in love with the car world. So that brought me to my first ever car, which was a Ford Focus SEL. I did take notes for this to not lose myself in my calculations and my 8 different cars, and now that I'm looking at it, it's actually 9 cars, but bear with me. Okay, so I bought my first ever car. It was a Ford Focus SEL. It was a really basic car. I paid it $5,000, and you know, it was a great car. Because of my love for the modified car world, I quickly put a wing on it. I bought a whole bunch of carbon fiber trim pieces on Amazon for it, a whole bunch of useless upgrades, but it made the car look better for me. While I had that car, I kept looking for cars. It's like one wasn't enough for me. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but one wasn't enough. And at the beginning of COVID, school wasn't online. School was just over. They just ended school. So I was working full time at my grocery store job. So at 16 years old, I had a lot of money and I didn't know what to do with it. Now, ideally, I should have saved, but I'm more of an experienced person. I don't like having money in my bank account just sitting there. I rather have my money into materialistic objects that I can view and appreciate and experience. As long as you're getting a good deal, but this is where it comes from. So my second car was a Lancer GTS. It had a really nice exhaust on it. It had a crazy good sound, but it had a lot of mechanical problems. It was a really old car. It had over 200,000 kilometers. It wasn't a good car, and it was a standard. It was a manual transmission, and that's the car where I learned manual. That was a really fun car. I paid it $1,500. That's nothing for a whole functioning car. I mean, the AC didn't work. It had a whole bunch of problems, but it was running and it sounded great. So I kept those 2 cars for around 6 months. After 6 months, I got my real license. The license I had before that was a license where you could drive, but you had to be with somebody else. I could actually take my car and go for a drive and by myself, a real license. Now, the day I got my license, I thought to myself, I should buy myself a new car. Don't ask me why, but I did. It's gonna sound stupid, but when I got my license, I thought to myself, I should buy a new car when I get my new license for it to, you know, get a fresh start. It's stupid, but whatever. So I saw this Scion FRS, that's this car. And that car was really great. It was like a sporty car, rear wheel drive, you know, 2 doors, low to the ground, nice sound. So that was like a car that was really like, you know, those YouTube videos. I was like, wow, that's like a car guy car, you know, it's a real car. It's not like a family car or a sedan, you know. Anyways, I bought that car. I saw it at a used dealership right near my house. I saw it, and 24 hours later, I took it. I bought it. So that car was $11,000. So I didn't have that money, so I had to sell my other car. Now, because of the used car market and how all the prices were inflating, I sold my Ford Focus for $7,000. Now, I did put a few little modifications to it, but we're talking about a few $100s, and I had paid it $5,000. So I made $2,000 out of having that car for 6 months, and then it was time to sell the Lancer. So then I sold the Lancer on Kijiji, and I sold it $3,250. That's a profit of $1,750. So having that car, experiencing that car, learning manual, the whole usage of that car actually made me profit, which all of this brings me to my FRS that cost me $11,000. Now, I really liked the FRS. It was a great car, but I found a reason to sell it. Having friends and a girlfriend, it wasn't fun to only have one spare seat. Also, the really small trunk didn't fit my need. So I ended up selling that car for a Ford Focus ST. I thought thought to myself, the Ford Focus ST, you know, it's faster, it had a turbo, it's more practical, it's cooler looking, but it's not, you know, two-seater, it's got more... Anyways, I found all the reasons in the world to say I need that Ford Focus ST. That's the one I need. So then I bought it. I found a Ford Focus ST in another dealership not too far from me for a decent deal, and I bought it. So now I had two cars. I had the Ford Focus ST and I had the FRS. I couldn't keep both. So I had to sell the FRS, which ended up me selling it $14,000. So I ended up not making any money with the FRS because of all the upgrades I put to it, but in the end, I didn't lose any money. I bought the car, used it, and resold it again for the third time now, my third car that I resell for either profit or cost me nothing at all. So far we're 3 cars down and I didn't lose 1 penny yet. I'm actually positive $3,000 according to my calculations. Which all brings me to the Ford Focus. The Ford Focus ST, which was the performance model, I paid it $18,000. That was by far the most expensive car I bought so far, and by then I was only 17 years old. I wasn't that old and it was a really cool car. That car had lower miles and it was still on warranty. So the way I got my 6th car now is because I found another reason to get a car. Here in Canada we have a lot of, you know, salt and winter, and that makes the cars rust. And I was in love with the Ford Focus, so I was like, I don't want it to rust. I need a winter car. I managed to find myself another need for another car. So for that, I ended up finding a Jeep Patriot for $3,000 at a garage in Montreal. Now that Jeep, I really liked it. I immediately bought a roof rack to put the spare tire on top to make it look more off-roady. I bought a new grille. It was a great car, but after a week of using it, the motor started knocking. And if you know anything about cars, a knocking motor is not a good sign. That's thousands of dollars of maintenance, and it's something I did not want to deal with. So I ended up returning the Jeep to the original dealer that sold it to me, and I asked them for a refund. So I returned the Jeep, and with that money, I bought myself another car. Now this time for not the same reason at all, but just the simple reason that I wanted to make money. I started seeing this trend in my transition of cars where I was making money at times, and I wanted to find a car where I could make money. So I started studying the market, and I found this 2003 convertible Mustang that was for sale for $3,000. That was my first ever flip car, the car that I bought purely to just flip. I ended up putting it for sale for $5,000, hoping to make a profit. I was offered $4,100, and I ended up accepting. So with the Mustang, I ended up roughly making $1,000, and I got to keep it for at least a month. So I ended up experiencing the Mustang and having fun with it and make a profit at the end of the day. So to catch you up to speed, right now I've got the Ford Focus and I've made roughly $5,000 worth of flipping on the cars I've owned. So the Jeep I had originally returned, I ended up finding that need for a winter car again. I ended up falling on this F-150 for $1,500. This was a 2007 F-150 and it was really beat up, but it was $1,500. The motor ran great, but the transmission went forward, but not backwards. It was a really used truck, but it was $1,500. So I go to the guy's house, we check it out, it runs okay. I ended up negotiating the price to $1,200. $1,200 for a pickup truck that worked. It didn't reverse, but it worked. So I liked the truck. I used it for a few months, but I ended up selling it because it was too beat up. I couldn't get some real use out of it because it had too many problems where I had to compromise, and it wasn't a fun experience to have that truck. So I ended up selling it for $1,700. So I still made a $500 profit from having that truck for around a month. So that leaves me with just my Ford Focus ST. That was my one car. I thought to myself, I'm gonna keep this car. It's the best car. It's got everything I wanted. But then I found another reason to change. In college, there's no school bus or anything, so you have to go with your own car. I was paying roughly $80 of gas a week, which is a lot. Why do I not buy an electric car? It makes more sense. Now I'm gonna make a whole other video about why electric cars make a lot more sense than gas cars, but for this video I'll keep it short. So the price I was paying for the car and the gas was a lot more than I expected. So I ended up finding a 2017 e-Golf. That's the car I own right now and that I'm still using. That's an electric car, but I have zero gas to pay. I just have to plug it in, I go to work, I go to college, I have to pay zero gas. I don't have the e-Golf. It's at the dealership right now getting service, but I just got an email. They're sending me a taxi. Okay, I think my taxi's here. I'm gonna go get my e-Golf.
Ça va bien aujourd'hui?
There she is. Oh yeah, got my e-golf back. I've been struggling. I've been on this video for like 8 days now and I still can't find the purpose. I understand the goal. The goal is to share with you how I've had 8 cars at only 18 years old, but what's the message that I want to transmit to you watching at home? What's the message that I'm trying to deliver? And when I was rewatching the video, I feel like it came across as me bragging or showing off that I've had all these cars, and that's not the message that I want to portray. I wanted this video to prove and to show how it's possible to have 8 cars at only 18 years old with, you know, a low income grocery store job. So I broke it down into 2 different topics. It took me a while to find this out, but the first topic or message that I want to, you know, say is find a good deal. Without finding a good deal, there's no way I could afford those cars or flip them just like. But with that comes with what I think is even more important, which is the hustle. Without the hustle, without the hours that I spent, you know, looking at car websites, car YouTube videos, self-educating myself in the car world and the car business and the value of different cars and everything, there's no way that I could have afforded all of those things. And without the hustle, then there's nothing. I find the message in this video is, I'm not a millionaire. I didn't win the lottery. I work at a grocery store. And I hustle. I hustle a lot for my money. I work many hours. And you hustle for money. That's important. But what's even more important than hustling and working hard for your money is working hard to spend your money well, or hustling to find a good deal. Shit, I ripped it. So I think the message of this video is everyone hustles. Everyone hustles to make a living. Everyone hustles to make money, to pay the bills, to buy yourself a car, whatever. But I strongly believe that the hustle of spending your money, the hustle of finding a good deal, the hustle of making research and to doing educated purchases, and I think the work or the hustle of properly spending your money, I think that's as important as the hustle to make the money. So this video kind of got dramatic and like too serious. What can I do to like brighten things up at the end? Okay, I bought this little tennis thing from a garage sale. You know, with COVID and everything, you can't see your friends, so this thing, it's like tennis by yourself. It works really well.